things are fluid, they change rapidly, and we have to be prepared. We are facing an invisible and very formidable enemy.
Singapore stepping up the fight against COVID-19 as infections spike and new strains of the virus emerge.
Trace Together will be mandatory from June 1st whenever you visit malls, workplaces, schools and gyms.
And wishing you a happy Earth Day. Remember, every single one of us can contribute to a better planet. This is the Straits Times Newsnight. I'm Chao Suan.
Good evening, I'm Dylan Ng. Tonight, Singapore is on heightened alert as COVID-19 infections continue to spike around the world, with new strains of the virus contributing to the spread.
Ministers announcing today that 8 local cases of COVID-19 variants have been detected in Singapore. 7 are of the British variant and 1 is of the South African. But the cases have been isolated and ring-fenced with no further community spread.
Against this global backdrop of rising cases and emerging variants of concern, we are on heightened alert. The situation in Singapore could escalate quickly if we let our guard down. The multi-ministry task force has also been calibrating our border measures to take into account the global situations. We will be tightening our measures given the deteriorating situation.
Now, with India reporting more than 300,000 new infections today, the world's highest number of COVID-19 cases in a single day, Singapore is further tightening border measures with India.
All long-term pass holders and short-term visitors who have travelled to India within the last 14 days will not be allowed to enter or transit here. Now, this comes into effect from 11:59 p.m. tomorrow and includes people who have obtained prior approval to enter. Also, those with recent travel history to India who haven't completed their 14-day stay-home notice by tonight must serve a further 7 days at dedicated facilities instead of their places of residence. They will undergo 3 PCR tests when they arrive on the 14th day of their SHN and before the end of the 21-day period. Here's Minister Lawrence Wong explaining the need for tighter border measures.
We've been monitoring the COVID-19 situation in India very closely, and all of you know that we made a move to tighten the arrivals from India on Tuesday. But since then, the situation in India has continued to worsen. Within our community, as you heard just now, we've also picked up a few cases in the dormitories. Now, there is no evidence that these cases are linked to India or the new strain in India. But what is of concern to us is the risk of reinfection amongst recovered workers. These are workers that were previously infected, but now are getting infected again. The majority of new arrivals from India work in the construction, marine and process sectors, and they live in the dormitories. Even if they were to serve out the stay-home notice, we know that that is never 100% foolproof and leaks can still happen. And if such a leak were to happen amongst new Indian arrivals working in these sectors, then a new strain may get leaked into the dormitory, and worse, even recovered or vaccinated workers may get infected, and then we may see new clusters emerging again in our dormitories.
The ministers also stressed that vaccination remains key in our fight against the pandemic. Minister Gan said that on top of the vaccination centres and clinics currently in operation, over the next 1 or 2 days, another 2 vaccination centres will be set up.
However, he also stressed that our supply remains limited given the global shortage. Addressing concerns on the efficacy of the vaccine and whether there is a need for booster shots, Associate Professor Kenneth Mark said it depends on how the situation develops.
At this point in time, there's quite a bit of thought that the vaccinations should be able to last us for at least 9 months, 12 months. We believe that it's going to be much longer than that, perhaps even 15 to 18 months. But beyond that, it's still a relatively uncertain situation. And there are 2 developments that may influence us in our thinking about giving further vaccinations, even to those who have received their first 2 vaccinations already. The first is just as recovered workers may eventually have a gradually waning immune protection, this may also apply to those who have been vaccinated. And therefore, as we do tests following up some of these individuals who have been vaccinated, and we find that immune level starting to drift downwards, this would then be the right time to start planning to vaccinate these people as well. The other consideration are the viral variants of concern, where at this time the vaccines that we've chosen, the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine, have shown still efficacy against these variants of concern, but we have to prepare for the possibility that there may be future variants that where the vaccines that we currently use are not as efficacious. And if that were the case, it may well be the case that we need booster vaccine doses to augment the immunity that we already have from the previous vaccinations.
For more on today's updates, you can watch the full press conference given by the COVID-19 Multi-Ministry Task Force on the Straits Times YouTube channel.
Now, looking at the COVID-19 numbers today, there are 2 new local transmissions. One is in the community and the other in a migrant worker dormitory. The remaining 22 were imported.
Meanwhile, 17 workers at Westlight Woodlands dorm who have been classified as recovered patients tested positive for the virus after special testing operations were carried out. Investigations are ongoing to determine if they are reinfection cases.
And from June 1st, Trace Together will be the only form of check-ins at places with higher footfall, including shopping malls, workplaces, schools, places of worship, F&B outlets and gyms. Other modes of safe entry check-in, like scanning a safe entry QR code or using the SingPass app, will be discontinued. There will also be no need for separate check-ins at individual retail outlets inside large malls once Trace Together is used for check-ins.
Singapore's Transport Ministry said that the date for the air travel bubble between Singapore and Hong Kong has yet to be fixed, but hopes to do so very soon. Now, the update comes after news that both sides had called off its plan to announce the bubble today. A Bloomberg source said the decision to postpone was initiated by Singapore.
Now let's take a look at what's been trending on social media today. We're not sure if you've seen the Google Doodle or need a little reminder. Today, 22nd April, marks Earth Day, when we celebrate the anniversary of the birth of the modern environmental movement in 1970. Earth Day is observed by many all around the world as a day of environmental action to change human behavior and make an impact.
At a virtual climate summit that will happen today and Friday, world leaders will address the climate crisis and discuss action to curb carbon emissions. To kick off the summit, Joe Biden will commit the United States to cutting its greenhouse gas emissions in half by 2030.
As for the rest of us, whether it's switching off our lights for an hour tonight or committing to reducing the use of straws, every little gesture makes a big difference. So let's go forth and restore our Earth.
Things are about to get busy for Kai Kai and Tia Tia. Wildlife Reserves Singapore is hoping the duo get very busy with the start of the mating season. Now, the River Safari's giant panda forest will be closed from now till April 26 to give the couple some privacy. It will be their 7th attempt at trying for a baby. Good luck, guys. Here's wishing you all the very best.
Now, also trending online, meet Bear Sun, the bear on a 644-kilometer trip from Los Angeles to San Francisco. All this on foot and for a good cause. The man inside the costume is 33-year-old Jesse Larios, whose GoFundMe account has to date raised over $7,000 since his journey began on April 12th. He plans to hold an online vote to determine where to donate the money upon reaching San Francisco.
If you're curious, Bear Sun has been making stops along the way to eat and sleep, but not much else, besides taking pictures with fans who have spotted him during the journey. Now, you can visit I Am Bear Sun on Instagram for updates on his whereabouts and journey. Hats off to this guy, man.
Now, in case you missed it, let's go back in time just for a second. Remember those adorable Tamagotchis that were all the rage in the 90s? Well, they're back and updated for 2021 with some cool new features. The new Tamagotchi Pix no longer has a pixelated black and white screen. Instead, it is in full color. And even more exciting, there's a built-in camera that lets you take pictures with your virtual pet. The $59.99 US toy, available for pre-orders in North America now, goes on sale in July, and I certainly hope they bring it to Singapore.
And before we go, calling collectors and connoisseurs of rare whiskey, the world's first distillers library has opened right here in Singapore. The invite-only private client suite by Scottish distillers William Grant & Sons officially opened today, housing ultra-rare and old expressions from the family-owned distillers archives, some of which are world exclusive and have never been released before. A select group of connoisseurs here will now have access to this curated portfolio of whiskies with prices ranging from approximately $6,000 to a whopping $350,000. Wow, very, very, very cool.
And that wraps up the Straits Times Newsnight. Do visit straitstimes.com to see more news and videos.
You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel by hitting the button below. Have a great evening. We'll see you tomorrow.